I'm delighted to be speaking this afternoon on the subject of IT trends in construction. I want to thank my friend Austin Beatty for the invitation to speak again at this year's conference. I've been able to had the honor to present in the past to the user conference, often in person. This time it'll be remote from Chicago. Our firm is a IT consulting firm that helps construction companies with IT decision-making, software selection, implementation, that sort of work, IT strategy, and certainly have run across and worked with Austin and his organization on many different engagements. The subject that Austin asked me to speak on this afternoon is IT trends in construction. What's happening in construction and technology? How are companies faring with new deployments, new selections, and what can construction firms expect in the near future as things are developing very quickly? So today we're going to talk a little bit about sort of where we've been, so you can have a little bit of context where we're headed, and then how construction firms can prepare for and leverage the onslaught of new technologies. First of all, to get us started, I want to take a quick look back, where we've been. What's been sort of the MO of most construction firms. Certainly we can remember the days not all that long ago when there were a lot of manual processes, spreadsheets and paper forms and email that would be used for billing and change orders and timesheets and all kinds of different functions. Our ERP system, our business system, was a little bit more of a back-end record-keeping, bookkeeping solution that happened to have job cost more than sort of a forward-looking system that actually scheduled and planned work. There was also a lot of manual forms, even electronic forms that were filled out prior to data being entered into a particular system, supported by a lot of spreadsheets and certainly a lot of file storage and the like. Now, hopefully, that's all in the past. And where we are today, we still don't have what I would call enterprise architecture, solutions and technology that are sort of the undergirding, if you will, of the organization. It is more, we have a lot of point solutions in place. We have an ERP, we have estimating, we have project management, HR, equipment, and all these disparate systems. Very few of them are very well integrated. We also have a lot of digital content sprawl, spreadsheets, photographs, PDFs, drawings. I mean, and it's all being stored in a network storage system or on a cloud storage system or in many different applications. So I think the terminology that's been used for that is content sprawl, and it's a very accurate term because it's everywhere without the kind of metadata that's needed to manage it. Quite a bit of use of point solutions being solutions that are very targeted at one function or another. And I would say that those are generally, that's not a bad thing, but if you don't have the enterprise architecture with something like middleware to help bring that data in and move it to another solution, it can be problematic. I think the other big thing that's happening right now is that IT firms are changing the nature of their, construction firms are changing the nature of their IT departments to meet the changing demand of the organization. So instead of IT being focused on infrastructure, storage, servers, data center, provisioning, now they're focused more on user-facing technology, enterprise solutions, integrations, reporting, data, business intelligence. So we're seeing a shift, pretty substantial shift of the IT departments toward kind of contemporary architecture and cloud deployment, which is a good thing. The level of investment in construction technology is like nothing I've ever seen in the years I've been in business. It's really it's generating a lot of new solutions. It's changing the nature of the firms that we used to do business with, privately held, small cap kind of software companies, and changing the way the software is deployed. But it's putting a lot of choices into construction companies' hands now. You're having way more choices of solutions, and you have to really evaluate carefully how long they're going to be around, what their underlying technology stack looks like, functionality, all of that. It's both. I'd say the investment is both a good thing, but it has some sharp edges too. We're also dealing with probably an unprecedented labor shortage in the market, which I'm sure all of you are painfully aware of. So now we not only have to attract and hire the talent that does exist, keep them on, develop them. We've also got a bit of a supply chain issue with some materials either going up in cost dramatically or not being as available as they were. And so changing supply chains is something that we never even used to have a discussion about. So I think those two things, labor and material, are presenting some challenges and opportunity for technology to help smooth those areas out. So I would say that those are among the things that I'm seeing at the moment in the industry. Now, what are we going to cover today, and what can you expect from today's conversation? I would say that, I'm hopeful that I can provide answers to some of your questions that you may have about particular trends, not so much individual products, but product classifications, that sort of thing. But I would feel like this was a successful presentation if you took away better questions. I'm always in favor of better questions, more thoughtful questions, because that leads you to better answers. And I would say too that I'd like you to leave with a better sense of overall direction and strategy for your firm as it relates to technology. So what are some of the trends that are occurring now that are going to be impactful for all of us as we move forward? Well, certainly one of them is the concept of prefabrication. More and more contractors are prefabricating, doing modular building than ever before. And I don't see that trend changing. Many owners are demanding it. Contractors are starting to see the benefits of it. They're starting to put in place bigger shop space for manufacturing. And so I think the benefits of that will prevail. Now, the thing that's interesting though is that today, in today's typical construction environment or company, you don't have much in the way of systems that know how to deal with prefabrication. We can keep up with the cost easy enough, but there's nothing that manages the shop floor, routings, MRP, bill of material. These are not concepts that most construction ERP systems are familiar with. And so that makes it a bit challenging from a systems perspective. There are third-party solutions that handle shop floor planning and routings, but then those have to be integrated back into the ERP. You also, near and dear to your heart, is going to be timekeeping issues, keeping up with shop floor timekeeping within the context of manufacturing. I'm seeing a lot more deployment of field data collection and access technology, mobile devices, tablets, phones, and a much more tech savvy workforce. Still a little bit of resistance, but overall, the foreman level, I would say, are much more accustomed to timekeeping, production tracking, foreman daily log, drawing access, maybe even access to POs and RFIs. Anything that affects their performance is a good thing. And that would include information coming back the other way, production and productivity information, PO status, RFI responses, drawing updates. So it's really a two-way street with those guys in the field. And training them up on these field applications is pretty important because it does affect their overall productivity. As I mentioned earlier, the disrupted supply chain is going to be more and more important as it relates to keeping your budgets, maintaining budgets on your projects and supply materials, um, and making sure that they arrive on time. So I think having strong procurement capabilities, POs, receiving, blanket POs, requisitions, field receiving, all of these things are part of a strong procurement function. And some contractors have that, but some don't. Some are still not even producing POs. I think that we also have to take a look at what's been happening from a customer perspective. We have more demanding customers than ever before. And that's led to general contractors being more demanding and the need to be more digital, more engaged with technology. And sometimes that's meaning that subcontractors have to use the general contractor's technology, or the general and the specialty have to use the owner's technology. And that means that some of your records, some of your data may be consumed and or housed in another company's platform, which does represent a risk of its own. Certainly, the model has become an entrenched part of the industry and the way we work. You're seeing the model in pre-construction, in coordination, site collaboration, clash detection, of course, and it's going to go on to be the model that is used as the project proceeds, certainly managing changes and such. So I think that if you're not yet deploying BIM, now is a good time to start, because even if an owner isn't asking yet, they will, and you want to be ready. BIM is not like something you can just run out to the Best Buy and purchase and then come home and deploy. It takes time, effort, practice. So if you haven't started, do. AR and VR is part of that same sort of solution set, and I would say should be evaluated. Now, whether or not you need to be there yet is sort of dependent on the type of jobs you're in, but some of the design function, being able to do virtual reality design with some of your customers can be super valuable if you're a general contractor. And the AR can be very valuable depending on the type of work you do in terms of looking at particularly mechanicals, I would say, and electricals from a safety and a just a overall service standpoint. There's another technology I would say that is beginning to take hold, and that is IoT, Internet of Things. And that is kind of a little bit of a cute marketing term for the idea of you capturing data from other devices. So think about, I mean, the example I like to use a lot is Fitbit. If you're wearing a Fitbit, that's an IoT device. It's something that's capturing heart rate, temperature, whatever else is going on with that, steps, and feeding it back to another system. Well, think about IoT in equipment that you operate, your personnel, maybe a wearable on a helmet, building sensors. These are all things that send out a signal at a regular pace that don't require any fingers on keyboard to get data in. And that's going to end up getting tied to HR applications, service management applications, equipment applications. So IoT is going to be present and needs to be thought through in most system architectures.